Holy shike, let's talk about pigs. Here's your host of the Pork Podcast, Jennifer Shike.
There's just something about the story behind the story. And as a storyteller, I'm always searching for ways to give readers just a little bit more. And that's what the Pork Podcast is all about, bringing you stories of the people and the progress of the pork industry. I'm Jennifer Shike. Let's go find just a little bit more. Red shirt, hair in a bun, the stare. You don't even have to be in the stock show industry, and you'll likely know who I'm talking about. My guests today have created iconic TikToks, shorts, videos, and reels that are capturing attention literally worldwide. Not only are they reaching youth exhibitors in the livestock industry, but the impact of their videos goes far beyond. Recently, the Pat McAfee show discussed showing livestock because of this family's social media outreach. They've even been featured on ESPN, Barstool Sports, and Will Smith has shared their posts. I'm super excited to welcome the Dadsons from California, Kyle, Kara, Crew, and Caris to the Pork Podcast today. So let's start off with some introductions. Kyle, why don't you go first and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got your start in the swine industry specifically?
Perfect. Will do. Well, good morning and thanks for having us on. My name is Kyle Dadson. We reside in Paso Robles, California, which essentially is the central coast of the state of California. Kind of a roundabout way in terms of how I got into the show pig industry, not probably the more traditional method. So my parents have really nothing to do with production agriculture, nothing to do with the show ring, but really got an interest through my grandpa, which raised horses, which I know that's kind of a roundabout way, but got introduced to the FFA program in high school. Really had no invitation into 4-H, just wasn't kind of my thing, but just fell in love with it through FFA. Went to Fresno State, met one of my very, very best friends, James Backman, that owns Small Town Genetics, and just kind of took off from there, once I got into college. Showed an FFA rather competitively. And now I'm currently an ag teacher at Atascadero High School. I've been there for the last 21 years, oversee the swine projects, coach the livestock judging team. And that's a little bit about myself.
Awesome. Well, I share that same friend of James Backman. He's been just a great person to have in my life. And when I got going with the National Junior Swine Association, we wanted to get out into California with our shows. My relationship with James and Kara was just very pivotal, I think, in helping really grow that presence of show pigs literally from coast to coast. And they've been just great people. So I've been able to know you guys a little bit just because of knowing James and Kara and following what you do. So thank you so much for that intro. And Kara, tell us a little bit about you now.
So I was raised in a very small town, Shandon, and it's not far from where we live now. And I started off in 4-H raising animals. I showed sheep, cattle, pigs, and I also rodeoed. So that was probably my main passion throughout high school, but I always loved showing. And then my brother raised pigs and my sister showed sheep. So I thought, I'll do cattle, and realized, okay, cattle's not for me. And I then again finally settled with pigs. And I really enjoyed showing pigs. I think I finally settled throughout high school and only showed pigs at that point. And my brother actually had a somewhat, bigger swine farm for a while that he started off in 4-H. So I was grown up raising pigs. And then once I met Kyle, we finally, he was an ag teacher. So it just, snowballed from there.
Mm-hmm. That's fun. In my background, I actually have a horse background as well. So I grew up showing quarter horses and experiencing the show thing that way. And so I think it's sort of like no matter what you get into, what species you're showing, there's just something about being involved in those shows, in the show ring. And my husband had more of a cattle background, although he showed all the species, but it's kind of been fun how we've landed on pigs too. And that's just, it just gets you. Once you start, it's hard to stop. So
Yes.
My kids we love it too. And so it's really been cool to watch your kids in the videos and to see their activities, not only though in showing pigs, but also other things too. So Crew, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to our audience.
All right. I'm Crew J. Dadson. I'm 14 years old. I live in the same area they do. And I got introduced to showing pigs through my mom and dad, obviously. And sometimes in the videos, you'll see me showing or working at the barn. And I'm really glad to be on the show and be a part of this whole thing.
Awesome. Well, you do a great job. And Caris, tell us about you.
I'm Caris Dadson. I'm 14 years old, and I got introduced to showing when I was 3 years old. I believe our first show would have been at Pork Spectacular, and then we showed at our county fair in Pee Wee Showmanship. And ever since then, we just kept going, and we liked it, so our parents kind of just took us off with that. And then we started filming the videos later on, and that's how it kind of started. That's how I was introduced to showing pigs.
Awesome. Now, do you both show sheep as well, or just Caris?
I only show sheep at one county fair because we can't show pigs because of where we live. So you can show sheep, cattle, or goats, and then small animals. So we tried goats for a few years, and then I tried sheep last year, and I liked that. So we're going to keep going with sheep for a little bit.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, millions and millions of people have tuned in to watch your videos that primarily focus on Crew and Caris. But tell me, did you guys ever expect to get a reach like this? And I'd love to know who started the video concept, and tell us a little bit about how you guys got going in that.
Well, I'm the one who probably started all of it. So I have a small business, and I was doing a lot of social media through there. So I had learned a lot through just doing my own social media for my small business. And then once we started Dadson Farms and trying to sell pigs, I was like, well, I'm just going to start doing the same thing for that. And I was like, it was kind of frustrating sometimes in the beginning because I'm like, why can't my small business videos go as big as the pig videos? And then it was just one of those things where it took off, and I just continually kept doing it. I never expected it to happen. I think one of the first big ones was in Arizona, and of Caris showing. And I was like, well, that's never going to happen again. That'll never happen again. But I continually kept posting, and then it just kept happening. So it was just a big shock and not expecting that. And the funniest thing is I just assumed everybody knew what showing pigs was, have been to a county fair. I just assumed because in our area, everybody does it. Everybody in my high school was in FFA and showed an animal, and it's just not abnormal to me. So it was just shocking to me to that nobody even knew what it was. So that part was very interesting and eye-opening.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point. It's something that in your area you took for granted that people just knew about. And where we live, we live in kind of East Central Illinois. And even though I would consider this, an agriculture area, people don't know. And we live near the University of Illinois. And so, you have kind of that more of the university college town atmosphere, but people do not know. And I remember when somebody sent me a video of Caris for the first time, and they're like, is this what your kids do? Like, I think I post about it a lot, but it's really cool how those videos that you guys have created have really made an impact because, I think I take pictures a lot, and that's one thing, but to have that video where you can actually explain what they're doing, I think makes your videos really unique. So talk to me a little bit about how much time goes into creating a typical video or reel, and how often are you posting new content?
So it's funny because I'm always complaining because I tell my husband, I'm like, oh, this one will be quick. I'll just do it really quick. And then it's 3 hours later. And I'm like, I thought this one was going to be fast. But typically, it definitely ranges. The informational ones where I'm explaining things usually take the longest because I usually either have to have the kids help me film you know, whatever, if it may be like a showmanship tutorial or something like that. So unless I use clips from a show, but that part, those ones usually take longer because I make them longer. They're usually around from a minute to a minute 30. And then the longer they are, the harder it is to post as well, because, you know, I watch all the way through. And then even after I've posted them, I find mistakes. But even like a 9-second video could take me a couple hours to make. And I have a problem because I'm very detail oriented, and it drives, you know, my kids and my husband crazy sometimes, but I want everything to be perfect, even like the sound that goes into it. And even though I'm really trying, it never comes out right all the time, but it does take a while. I would say on average, it would be at least an hour a day, if not, you know, half the day. So, but when I work at Small Town Genetics, so when I'm there, I try to have the video already made, and I get an 1 hour lunch break, and I try to post within that time. So but when I'm home, that's when I try to do the longer videos.
So who's the idea person? Who has the most ideas for what to do in a video? Where do you get those ideas?
I usually come up with most of the ideas. Typically, I love showmanship, so I like any of the videos with that. So I'll pick, you know, trending sounds or just songs I like. And then I also get a lot of ideas just from the comments. And especially if a comment has like a sound to it. Like, so if there was a video, they said the kids were creepy. So I try to find a song that is creepy, you know, so I like a good theme. So, and I like to play it off. Like I get, like, it probably is weird for people that have no idea, don't understand why the kids are staring, but I don't take it too seriously, and I think it's funny, and then it gives me an idea to do a video. So I try not to take any of those comments too seriously at all, and then just have fun with them.
How about you, Kyle? How do the comments, do you take them seriously? Are they easy for you to like roll off your shoulder? Or I guess what's kind of your perspective on some of the things people say?
Yeah, so I had to put myself on timeout one day because I was reading some comments and saw one that really struck a nerve. We had a livestock judging practice, and the kids were working up sets of reasons. I was like, oh, I'm going to jump on Facebook and see what Kara put up today. And anyways, long story short, I don't read them anymore. I know Kara is fully invested in taking some comments to create new material, but I thought it was just best for me to just kind of stay out of the comment section. And I know sometimes she'll go through, and if there's anything, you know, too derogatory or negative, she can just simply take those off and delete those. But yeah, as of now, I just watch the videos and do not dive into the comment section of that material.
Well, I'm going to admit that I'd fall more on you. And so I have great respect for Kara's ability to be able to let that roll off and have fun with it. Because I think as a livestock person who understands the industry at a different level than maybe some of the people in the audience, I'm like, wow, those things kind of fire me up. But I love how you do respond to them. But I'd probably be in your camp, Kyle, of needing to take, I mean, I often joke about, I had to take mom time out at the show, you know, like sometimes I just have to walk away too. But so I was curious on if you read the comments. And so Caris and crew, do you guys read the comments or do you just ignore them?
I used to read them more and more, but I'm kind of like my dad, and now I don't read them because some of the comments I just need to stay away from.
Yeah, some of them are kind of funny.
You think they're funny?
Yeah.
Well, they are kind of funny.
Yeah, one of the first videos, we were going through and reading them all, laughing. Like in the beginning, there are a lot of funny ones, and like who they think they look like, and it's just, they definitely, you know, the comment sections can get out of hand, but in a funny way at times. But
Mhm.
it's funny how some will just take a turn and you're like, why do you like, I don't understand the hatefulness of it, and especially with them being children. But
Right.
at this point I'm like, it's just part of it. If you have any video go big, you're gonna get the love and the hate, and then the people that don't know what's going on, and it's just what it is. And I try to draw that line where these people just have no idea what the kids are doing and what they're putting into it and how serious we all take it. And that's what I'm hoping to show, that this is a good thing and these
Mhm.
kids aren't weird. I obviously want to put showing livestock in a good light and explain things to people. But it's funny because I'm like, I have explained and explained the same things over and over, and I'm like, I'll continue to do it if they still don't understand. So that's definitely a challenge, but
Yeah.
I'll keep trying.
No, I love it, and it's great, I mean, that what can you do but keep trying? And to that point, we do need people to gain an appreciation or an understanding of what we do, because probably one of the biggest threats to the livestock show industry are public misperceptions that could create problems for us. So I think education is always important in how we talk about it. And I was thinking on my wall here, I kind of put up some of my favorite quotes. And one of my favorite quotes is, "Don't let compliments go to your head or criticism go to your heart." And I think about that a lot because as a writer who's putting out content and oftentimes sharing kind of like my feelings on things, sometimes it's hard when people take what you say and twist it or don't agree with you or misunderstand where you're coming from. But that doesn't mean you stop doing it when you have a passion for something. And so I think it's really great what you guys are doing, and I love that you've not let some of those naysayers distract you from your purpose. But I mean, obviously, to counter that, there's a ton of people who just can't get enough of it and keep coming back for more and more. So talk to me about what's been your most popular one. Um, and then, what was the process that went into making your most popular video that you've had?
Well, the highest viewed one we've had, it was actually from NJSA, and that was, I guess it would be last year in November. And that's the one that Barstool Sports shared. And that it's funny, I made that one at the show, which I try not to do because it's so hard to try to make a video while I'm at the show. And it was funny because that was one of the videos where they were calling Caris the drum. What's the drum? Like, there's a drummer girl, I guess, that went viral as well.
Yeah.
So those comments were kind of funny as well. And then we've had the one at one of the biggest liked videos. So it didn't have as many views as the other one, but the most liked was I just made this one. And it was one of those where I was like, I just need an idea. And I think the kids were dressed awful in the barn. Like, Caris was sick and working her sheep, and she just had, sweatpants. And I was like, I'll do a video on what they look like when they're in the barn and then when they're showing. And that one is our top liked video. And it's just funny because I'm like, the ones I think are going to go really big never do. And the ones I'm like, oh, that one I'll just make, goes big. But it's just funny because I'll put so much time into one and you're like, this is going to be the best one ever. And it doesn't go. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting.
And it's like writing. I mean, I can relate to you so well in that there's things that I'm like, man, I just have poured my heart and soul into it. And then it's like crickets. And then something else that I wrote in 3 minutes because something fired me up goes
Yeah.
crazy, and it's like, you can't always predict how things will hit people for sure. And I love that. I love that one with the different clothes because it's like, my kids look like homeless children when they're out in the barn working with their livestock most of the time. I mean, we don't wear good clothes when we're just out there in the barn. And I mean, Olivia never matches, and we always kind of tease her, and she gets mad when her dad wants to take videos of her, to show one of the breeders what a pig looks like, and she's wearing, terrible outfit. And so, I've said, well, you just need to be on call. I think we did dress better during COVID though, because we were shooting a bunch of videos a lot, doing the virtual shows. So we upped our barn clothing, but most of the time we don't look very good in the barn either. So
No.
now, what's been the most controversial one? And Kyle, like, has there been one that's the controversy has stirred you up, or one that sticks out in your mind that's been more controversial that you guys have done?
I think in terms of controversy, I guess just as a platform, but it would just be, the whole animal welfare component to it. Kind of going back to what Caris said, it's just there is so much unknown in terms of the outside public that don't have an investment in the livestock industry. So, Caris constantly reading out some comments about, these animals are abused and this is a horrible thing. And quite honestly, she'll break down what we do. Those animals at our house are probably treated better than we treat ourselves, just in terms of the time that we have investment, the environment we try to provide them, the nutritional schedule that we use. So I think in terms of controversy, it would just be on the animal welfare component of it, versus animal rights type of a thing. But again, and really, I guess preaching to the choir right now, but what we do here is truthfully try and give them the absolute best life that they have. Not only because it's the right thing to do, but then again, that should hopefully transition to the show ring, and hopefully give our kids that much more success at this early stage of their life.
Yeah. Well, one that I don't think I wouldn't call it controversial. I think it was just real fun and popular. But I remember one of my kids too. They were like, "Hey, did you see this video of somebody dressing up like Caris?" And so, of course, I have to ask Caris, how did you feel to have people trying to dress up and be like you for Halloween?
I think it's really cool, and we obviously didn't expect it this year when we saw it. I think my mom saw the video first, and then she was sharing it, and I saw it eventually. But I think it's crazy how fast our platform has grown to do that. Like, that to me is shocking, and I think it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it
I
was
would
funny.
probably guess. Oh, go ahead.
We were at Gold Rush, which has a Halloween costume contest, and one of our friends did not. Their child did not have a costume, and I was like, I could completely dress you as Caris. And then I think it was the very next day, there was somebody dressed up as Caris. So it was just funny because I'm like, and then later I went back and I was like, you could have been the first. But it's just funny. We were definitely not expecting that, or had ever thought this would happen. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I bet, Crew, you were glad no one was trying to dress up like you, huh?
Oh yeah.
Crew, what's your favorite thing to do when it comes to the stock shows? Do you like showmanship, or do you like getting them ready behind the scenes? What's your favorite part of the process?
I think my favorite part is showing, like going in the ring.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. Well, okay, I want to switch off just a little bit here, because I love to transition at some point to talk about what other people have to say about you guys. And I reached out to two different people to kind of gain a deeper perspective of who you are, people that have been around you and know you well. And one person that I talked to was Clay Zwilling, who's the National Swine Registry CEO. And I asked him, what you guys bring to the livestock show industry and kind of his perspectives of watching what you guys are doing. And here's what he had to say. He said, beyond the Dadson family's unwavering passion for highlighting the swine industry and youth livestock projects, I'm always impressed with their ability to engage non-agricultural social followers. While many people would ignore a negative or false comment, they tactfully and accurately respond to inform and educate. I also appreciate them addressing simple educational questions that pork producers and non-livestock individuals can learn from equitably. So, I thought that was a really good point, and that's something that stands out to me, and one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you guys to be a part of this, because I think you do a great job of that. What has been the craziest question that someone's asked about your pigs, and how did you answer it? And anybody can take it.
Me personally, I think the weirdest question I've seen on the comment section is, do you eat pork? And to answer that, Yes, we eat pork. We are pork producers, and we eat pork.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. What about you, Caris?
Probably I've had people ask, not face to face, but over comments, if we're blind, and we're not. But the pork industry is very accommodating to people with that disability. Personally, we have somebody on our show team that's blind, and he shows very well. And the judge always has a vest on, and he's always like given his fair shot. So we're not blind, but even if we were, we would still be accommodated to within the pork industry.
Very cool. Kyle, do you have any crazy questions that stick out to you?
Honestly, to be truthful, I really just hear the comments through Kara. So there's not one that really jumps out to me as being crazy. But Kara opened up the podcast with the fact that it's shocking that there is so much unknown to it. And I get it. As a high school ag teacher, you get kids in class that maybe are unsure of actually what this is all about, but still have a conceptual basis, about the livestock industry, and I guess relevant to maybe where we live. But I think that's the craziest thing to me, is just how much unknown there is to the outside public about what not only we're doing in the livestock show industry, but truthfully, just the agricultural production industry as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that kind of leads me into my next question. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Proposition 12. Being from California, I know, Kyle, you and I talked about this a little over a year ago, probably, about how it was impacting you as a show pig producer. But, it's definitely been a gut check to our whole country that it doesn't take science, it doesn't take research to get a ballot initiative passed that have effects that are far reaching and very consequential. So I just posted a story not too long ago about the impact of Prop 12 on the Latino community and the restaurant business in your state. But I'd love to hear from you. How has Prop 12 impacted your show pig operation?
Yeah, so we're relatively small. We don't run a huge number in terms of a sow herd. So in terms of how it's impacted us, I would assume that you talk to a producer like James or someone that's running a couple hundred sows, it would be a little different. But I'll be as politically correct as possible. It's a nuisance, quite honestly, in my opinion. We've only got 5 sows, and so the first initial visit we had was a representative from the state of California, traveled from Sacramento. So that'd be about, a 4 or 5 hour drive. And there's probably 5 or 6 smaller show pig oriented producers around our area. And didn't hit all of them at once, kind of came back and forth. So scratch my head a little bit on that in terms of just the financial component to it, about sending this representative out to literally. Kara was home that day. I wasn't there, but I think Kara said she was there for about 10, 15 minutes. You've got to have records in terms of where they are. We literally have 4 sow runs. At the time, I think we had just 4 sows. The pens are humongous. So she looked at them. We had records in terms of when we put them in the crate, when we pulled them out of the crate. You have to provide a digital map that maps out where the sows are, and the dates of when they're pulled out of the pens, and when they're put in the crate, and when they're pulled back out of the crate. So for us, it's a pretty quick visit. But again, if you're keeping track of hundreds of sows in that same regard, it's going to become a big headache in my mind. We have to get renewed every single year. So our first visit would have been November of 24, of 23. And then we were just revisited here a few months ago, November 24. Now, we have a very good friend of ours that went through the process to become an official certifier, is a private contractor, essentially. So she doesn't work for the state of California. So that was kind of fun just to get to catch up with her. She actually is a parent of one of my past FFA students. So just sit down with her and kind of talk it over. And just getting her perspective of it, it kind of reads the same thing. And she travels all over the country, honestly. So she'll even work outside of the state of California to work with producers that are willing to go through that method. We went to we're at the National FFA judging contest this past fall, so went and worked out back there, and just talking to a couple of those producers, some of them are on board with it, and some of them are like, we don't sell enough pigs to California to make it worth our while, and the fee that they are being charged is astronomical versus what we charge. The state of California does not charge us. When they came out there, they did it for free. The private contractor has a small fee attached to it, but again, just going back to the numbers and the financial aspect of it is somebody's paying for this, and those somebodies are the taxpayers of California. So, I just think it's a cumbersome task. And probably if you ask me, am I a fan of it? The answer is absolutely not.
Well, it's something I really hope that we can prevent from happening in other states, but it's scary because it's really had far-reaching effects. And I've heard some pretty positive things about California being good to work with, and I've heard some real positives from the commercial industry, but it's not ever positive to have, in my opinion, directives made about how we raise livestock that don't have a solid foundation of science and research and experience, and stockmanship, understanding what's best for the animal. So, yeah, I was anxious to hear what you had to say about that. I could talk longer, but I want to circle back because I have one more person I wanted to bring in their comments that they shared. So, of course, I had to talk to James Backman of Small Town Genetics. And one of the things that he said was what makes the Dadson family so unique is their ability to bring life to what we do. The majority of our population has no idea about this sport and lifestyle of showing pigs, and through the Dadson Farm social media presence, they have become the face of our industry. What was originally designed to teach and educate has become a social media phenomena, emphasizing the work ethic, dedication, and family interactions that showing livestock offers kids. So, that's a big responsibility. Just saying that out loud, I'm like, wow, that he's right. He's very true in a lot of the things he's saying there. So how do you make sure that your kids stay grounded?
I'll jump in first, and then Kara can follow. I think the term staying grounded, and Kara always is very truthful. Listen, we just put that content out. We're not puffing up our chest and saying we're better than everybody. We're just putting it out to be helpful. And there's comments that Kara says, like, that, they think they win all the time. Listen, we went to a jackpot show in December. Neither one of them made the first cut in showmanship. So, you have the grounding component there, just in terms of, hey, this is one man or one woman's opinion. Nothing is given. So we are going to work our very, very hardest at home every single day. We try not let excuses get in the way whatsoever, whether it's, late at night, it's cold, we're not feeling well, it doesn't matter. So in terms of keeping them grounded, is the results are not always what they want. So that pushes them on their own. Secondly, is we push them extremely hard. And James made a comment about, this being a sport. It absolutely, in our opinion, this is what the kids do. This is their sport. They don't play baseball. They don't, play soccer and things like that. We fully dedicate our entire time at the house to trying to make them as competitive as possible. And hey, the outcomes sometimes aren't what they want. And that's life. That's okay. That's teaching them, as they progress into an adult state, that you're going to have some things occur in life that you've got to put more grit and more grind and work through it. So I think that's how we try to keep them grounded here at the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that's great. And I think that's what I love about it too. I wish we could win every time we go out, but what would that really set our kids up for? And that's not real world. It doesn't happen. And that's what makes it fun too, because if you won all the time, you wouldn't respect the wins as much. So I completely agree. And I think that's an excellent point about the value of what you guys are doing as a family. So I'd love to transition to this question too. What's been your most surprising fame story?
So I'll have Caris talk a little bit about it, but I think the craziest thing I've ever seen and never expected, and I still to this, like, random people will want to take photos of the kids, and I finally got my first one. I was shocked. I was like, "Are you sure you want a picture with me? Like, just take one with Crew and Caris." But I think at King City, there were both Crew and Caris, but it was the amount of people that recognize her even when they're not at the show. That part, like, I wouldn't think once you're out of the element or once you're not there that people would actually recognize the kids or even, care enough to take a picture. And I definitely never saw that coming. And it's always, comical, not in a sense like that they want the picture, but just that we did not expect that or expect anybody to want a picture with us. So I'll have Caris talk a little bit about at King City Fair. That was one of I think the craziest times.
Yeah, totally agree with what my mom said. I can't remember how many we took, but we took definitely a lot more than we normally do. It wasn't expected at all because it's a smaller county fair. It's not extremely small, but it's smaller than our own. And we would just be walking around and people would want to take a picture, which was like crazy to me because I don't normally have people just wanting to take a picture of me when I'm not in the pig barn because I was showing sheep at King City. So it was
and everybody like when we go to shows, everybody knows, us, not as, being social media, but just because we know them from showing. And, obviously those people aren't around trying to take pictures with us or even talk to us about social media. We're usually talking about pigs or, the kids are just running around having fun. So that's not really something we deal with at a show. So I think that one was the most shocking just because, we've been going there for years. And I believe it was last year. I think she said there was like up to 42 people that wanted a photo. And I didn't expect it and still never expect it. And then there's just random times where like Crew and Caris are in and out and people are wanting a photo. So it's just very interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I would say too, like, I find it interesting because people will send it to me because they'll be like, oh, anything pig wise, my non livestock friends will be like, oh, did you see this? Did you see this? And I've received a lot of your videos, different ones from different people that don't have any tie to the livestock industry at all. But they somehow have happened upon it. And one person that's on our team at Farm Journal and doesn't have a livestock background, she just said, I was enamored. I just couldn't stop watching. I just kept watching and watching and watching because she goes, I didn't even know this is what went on. And I'm like, what do you think I talk about all the time? But again, you put it in a light in a way that people can really tangibly see it a little differently. They're probably not going to watch the stock shows online, but they'll watch a 20-second short that you create that makes them feel like they're there. So I think it's so neat. So on that note, how do you think what you guys are doing positions the swine industry to that general public?
Well, I'll put on my ag teacher hat. I think it opens up a door for, if they start this process watching it on social media and they actually take the initiative, it opens the door to project them into, I truthfully think, the best way to raise kids. So if that's what occurs from, an individual unknowing about the show pig industry or livestock industry itself, if they take that step and join a 4-H club or take an ag class in high school, sky's the limit. This industry is phenomenal in terms of what it teaches the kids, what it puts the kids through. So that would be my comment to that question there.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, what do you hope that people learn from watching Crew and Caris?
Well, I definitely, like, our main goal in the beginning was just to help like some of the kids like that are doing 4-H and they want to start leveling up and doing jackpot shows and they may not have the people to help them. And because we even have so many people helping us in the industry and it's still challenging. So if you don't have like parents that are involved in it or other people to like we have a group that we show with. If you don't have that, like you're just kind of lost. So our goal, you know, especially with Kyle being an ag teacher and seeing students struggle, or seeing, oh, they could have just done this, this, and this, and they would have been so much better, would have, you know, their pig would have done so much better. I just wanted to help anybody that could just level up a little bit by watching it. And then, but I wasn't expecting to reach more people that aren't even in the industry. So now another set of goals are for me is just to get more people showing and get more people in the livestock industry. And I've seen so many comments now, which is more than I could have ever hoped, was people just saying, I'm going to go to my first county fair. I've never been, but since I've watched your videos, I'm going to go and I'm going to check it out. Or somebody saying, I went to my first jackpot show, or I'm going to start showing pigs now. So that's something I never expected to come from this. You know, I kind of just was like, let's do some videos and hopefully sell our pigs. And then also I just love the showmanship videos, so I just started posting them. But I never expected it to be helpful in that sense to people that aren't in the industry. So I also want to teach people, or, you know, show people how well we take care of our livestock, and that I also, they need to understand that they are livestock. They are not pets. And even though they are treated very well, there is a line, and they are livestock, and this is for a livestock show, and that's what they are. But we are going to treat them the best that we can while we have them, and they will be humanely treated. But I don't know if the general public completely understands that, but that's the hope, is that they can understand that, you know, farmers aren't these evil people that they try to, you know, portray us to be, and that we do take care of our animals, and we take care of them better than ourselves. So that would be, you know, my goal for all of this.
I think that you do a great job of getting that message across, for sure. And, you know, I really enjoyed having you guys on. I could keep asking questions. I mean, I guess I do maybe have one more question. So between Caris and Crew, guys, like, who's the best pig showman?
Caris.
I think that we can both beat each other. Cruz beat me many times before in showmanship.
Well, I tell Crew all the time at home, he beats her all the time. And then I think he needs just to, you know, Caris just exudes the confidence. And Crew is just more mellow in his personality. And I think he has to just kind of step outside and be confident, like I know he can at home. But he is a great showman, and I'm just waiting for his day and for him to like blow everybody away, because when it'll click for him, it'll be awesome.
And I don't mean to say that's a boy thing, but as the mom of boys and 2 girls, I see the difference. And I'm joking when I ask you guys that. I think you're both excellent showmen. And I think that there's different ways to be a good showman too. You know, I think there's winning a showmanship class, and there's also getting it done in the ring with getting your pig to where you want it to be. So we think that's fun, and we joke about it all the time, and we like to give our kids a hard time about, you know, who's better, and they're super competitive. But I guess my one of the things I would say is, aren't you guys blessed to be able to have each other to help push each other to be better? Because that is something that not all kids get to have, is somebody who will help them be better. And so, you know, any thoughts about what it's like to be able to show livestock with your sibling and to be able to do this together from either of you?
I think it's cool having somebody that you know on that level in the ring and that you can like share that experience with.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Yes.
It's funny because
Well,
we do showmanship like competitions at home between the two of them, and it gets kind of cutthroat between the two. But I'll do it every now and then because sometimes it's like just a lot for me to take between them. But it really helps, even just having the two competing. But I always tell Kyle, I was like, I wish we kind of had a third. So then it wasn't always just either, one's always losing and one's winning. But
Mhm.
they go back and forth, and it definitely drives their competitiveness, just at home. And I always make it, something fun that they're going to get. We tally up how many days, and they show back and forth. But I'm like, I wish we had just one more so it wasn't so like back and forth. But they handle the competition, like their own sibling rivalry pretty well, and it never gets out of hand. But they're definitely both competitive.
Well, I think that, is a really special thing. And I love watching you guys at the shows together as a family and how you work together. I think that's such a good reminder of why we do this. It's fun to be able to be competitive with your siblings, and this is an actual activity where everybody in the family can be involved. And that's the one thing, like our kids may go this direction or that direction, but when it comes to being in the barn and stock shows, like we're all together and we're a team first. And I think, that's just something that is priceless. I don't know how you put a value on that. And I just want to applaud you guys for being out there and sharing your story and sharing, the high moments, but also sharing some of the struggles that we face and having fun with it. You guys do a great job. And so again, thank you so much for joining us today. And you can dive into more of the Pork Podcast on Farm Journal's YouTube channel and listen to it anywhere that podcasts are found. I'm Jennifer Scheich, finding the story behind the story.